let's talk about the Miss Universe Philippines Her Story video challenge. My name is Dani Walker and I'm going to share with you some of my personal favorite videos from this challenge. Now I do have some other videos that I have thoughts on that I want to share, but if you'd like to see the extended version of this episode, please check out channel memberships. And if you'd like to support the channel in other ways, don't forget to subscribe or hit that super thanks button. Frankly, this challenge threw me for a loop. I had a certain expectation for some of my favorites up until this point, and I was just very confused. So let's get into the ones that stood out to me though. Cavite's video was very interesting. So she talked about how music has changed her life. She talked about mental health and how she hopes to heal the world with her music because music is universal. So yes, she's a singer, and yes, there's a ton of singers in the competition, but the way that she is positioning why music is significant for her in her life and how she can use it to make the difference in the lives of others is what's unique. UK studied farm and ecology, but her real dream is to become a singer. So she has an interesting story because later in life she moved to the Philippines. She was helping to support her family. She was pursuing all of her dreams, and about 6 months in, she was really struggling financially and started experiencing depression and was embarrassed to share all of that with her family. And so she ended up moving to Singapore and then found a group of other Filipino women, and she found a sense of community with them. And then that's why later she started Self-Esteem Queens because of her own struggles. So that was a really interesting journey that she's taken, and I'm sure there's obviously so much more to it than just what she shared, but I'm excited to learn more. Hawaii had a really great video. She looked really likable in this. She talked about how she was born premature and that's what affected her hearing. She was also addressing a lack of educational resources for children with disabilities. And we saw her in a classroom, but I don't know if she's actually working with an organization or if this is just something she wants to do in the future or if she's currently teaching. There wasn't really context to that part of it, but the video looked good. Southern California is interesting because she got married when she was only 21 years old, even though people told her not to do that, which back then meant that she would have been no longer eligible for Miss Universe Philippines. She also talked about how she lived in the Philippines until she was 17 years old, then immigrated to the United States and worked really hard in order to get to where she is now, where she is a business owner. She's an entrepreneur. And so she is impressive to me because of how much she has accomplished in a very short amount of time. Very inspiring. Iloilo City didn't explicitly state this. I actually had to go back and watch her video 2 other times, and I saw a clip of her where she's speaking to children, and in the back you can see that she promotes sports advocacy, which makes sense. She is a track and field athlete, and then she filled her video with lots of beautiful imagery of her winning her provincial title. Really beautiful, and once again, just so confident in the way that she presents herself. There is something so queen-like about her to me. She just seems like she knows who she is. Like, I feel like we all experience self-doubt, but if she does ever experience self-doubt, you sure wouldn't know it. She also made this statement about how she has already conquered the field, but how now she's ready to conquer the universe, and it was pretty cute. Bukidnon's video was interesting. She did show us some work that she's done with an organization that fights violence against women and children, and I thought that that was really great. But she opened up the video talking about how she had dreams when she was a child of becoming a doctor, and then she was confronted with people, as many of us are, who tell us that we can't do it, but that how she is this story of resilience and now success. But what wasn't clear is, but did you become the doctor though? Wait, what happened to the dream? Or why are you a story of success? Where have you found success? So I feel like there was some pieces missing there. Talisay City talked about how she was born in Denmark and how her family later moved to the Philippines when her father got sick and how he suffered from depression, and that's why she advocates for mental health. So I'm glad that she shared why that was significant for her work and advocacy. I love Zambales. I love her. I would love her in a top 5, frankly. She talked about where she was growing up and she showed photos. She had no electricity, but more so, there was no roof. She said she just had the basics. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like the basics are shelter. She didn't even have adequate shelter. And she shared about how she worked as a vendor and also a service crew, but later in life she got her degree and now she champions education for children. And she's really done this against all odds and wants to inspire other people in the universe. And She is. She's doing it already. I feel inspired by the story that she shared, and I really hope she does well in this competition. I hope you're enjoying these favorites so far. Be sure to comment your personal favorite below. Mandawe's video, she shared that she lost her mother when she was 3 years old to breast cancer, and that just tears me up inside. She's a singer, but she's also a public health nurse. And there's something about this particular video that just gets me really excited to see her interview. The way she came across here makes it seem like she's gonna have a really great judge's interview. So I can't wait to see that happen for her. Marvelous didn't share a lot of clips in her video. She simply spoke to the camera. But gosh, did I feel her when she spoke. She talked about how she was in a domestic violence marriage and that she's a mother, and now fortunately she got out of that marriage. The whole challenge in this video is her story, right? So as much as I really appreciate and love the effort of all the clips and the diversity of the videos, sometimes all you need to do is just speak directly to your audience. And I feel like she did a great job sharing her story. Australia shared about her conflict of identity because she wasn't raised in the Philippines. And we have seen over the past few years a lot of contestants that were born in the Philippines, maybe moved away, or vice versa. And those contestants tend to really focus on that conflict of identity or not being accepted in one way or another. And it seems to be the same story for each of the contestants. If I were in that scenario, and if that's the common denominator, I would lean away from that narrative and just share something else about myself that makes me different. Now, fortunately, she talked about how what she cares for advocating for is human trafficking and those who are sexually exploited, which is a really important cause, but I didn't hear about a specific organization that she's worked with or one that she plans to work with or any work that she's done independently for that cause, but I'd like to hear more about it. Laguna shared about how she was bullied when she was growing up, and that's when she started her connection and love for animals because they're really the only ones who don't judge you. And she's not wrong. She has 13 cats, 5 of which are rescued. But what's interesting about her work with animals is that she actually created a business to benefit pets and their owners in addition to the nonprofit work that she does. So I thought that was really cool and memorable. And then she made a statement sharing that the world would be a better place if we could all learn to love unconditionally like animals do, and I loved that. But Danyan had another great video submission here, and she shared about how unfortunately when she was younger she lost a sister to brain cancer, and that inspired her to become a doctor. She shared about medical mission trips that she's been on and that what she cares about is creating a better healthcare system in the Philippines, and I loved it. Loved this video. Toledo City is so beautiful in white. I just have to say that. There's a clip of her in her video. I was like, oh my gosh, she looks so stunning. So she has very humble beginnings. She talked about how she would wake up at dawn and help her grandmother prepare food that they were able to sell to make ends meet. She also mentioned that she is a student leader and that she worked with children. Once again, well done. Kainta was interesting and unexpected. She talked about how her Lola had created this women's ministry for senior women who are incarcerated, and then at the end we found out that her Lola passed away, and that just kills me because I lost my Nana last year, so that's really hard. But I love to see that connection she has with her family, and then we got to see that she is continuing her Lola's work, and I was like, that's beautiful. Miami talked about how she moved to the United States in pursuit of love, and unfortunately that didn't work out, but she learned to stand on her own 2 feet. Now she works in real estate. We got to see her, presumably, I believe, at her home. She was with her dog and her cat. And her video didn't show clips of herself in that journey. I really wish that it did. I feel like visuals tend to help people a lot. But regardless, she did share her story. She did talk about what she's been through. And what I really like about now, because of how the eligibility has changed at Miss Universe, we're hearing very unique stories that young women don't always hear about. And I like that Miami was very transparent about the fact that, you know, she essentially followed this man to the US. That relationship didn't work out. She had to figure things out on her own, and she did, and she became successful after that. And I feel like that's a story young women need to hear, because sometimes, you know, the relationships that you want to have with people, it doesn't work out, or you experience different types of losses in your life, and you're going to get to these points where you have to start from scratch again. You have to rebuild yourself. And I feel like being able to encourage those types of stories for young women is really important. It's a great message to share. Here's one I'm going to try. Pagandian? Pagadian. I hope I'm close. Her video, I have to say, it was really cute, but she did come across as quite young in all the video clips. I think what helped her were the other video clips of her, I believe it was at the press presentation where she looked more like a Miss Contestant. She talked about how she was diagnosed with epilepsy 2 years ago, and she made a statement that I really liked by saying sickness isn't a hindrance, but a catalyst for growth. And I thought that was a really beautiful thing and quite inspirational, so she caught my attention. Because on Province, I think this was really smart. She said, you may know me as an entrepreneur or as a beauty queen. And so I really like that she identified like how people already know her and just addressed it head on, and then went on to share other things about herself. She later talked about her humble beginnings and that how pageants helped her get her way through her education as well. She talked about how she wants to be a positive enabler for people and that she wants them to know that you're not limited by your life circumstance. Now, this is a message that we hear all of the time. So once again, I would have loved to heard something a little bit more specific for that messaging. Northern California talked about how she was bullied when she was growing up. She shared that she has an American father and that she was diagnosed with a brain disease. She really wants people to essentially believe in themselves, and that's the generic message that she was sharing and carrying across. And I just really, really wish she would have gotten more into the specifics of, believe in what, or who does she want to believe in themselves. There's so many ways you can go about it. It's just this message that I hear again and again and again in pageants, and I want to know more about like who exactly are you trying to encourage and what do you really want them to accomplish by believing in themselves. Plastic is somebody that has stood out to me throughout this entire competition. I really loved her. She is one of the moms in the competition, and I am concerned for her because of the statements that Anne made. I'm concerned for all of the mothers in the competition because of those statements. And I don't know if all of their efforts are going to be in vain. We've seen that they can win the national title, but will they really get anywhere at Miss Universe on their own merit? It's to be determined. Those were my favorites. If you want to hear even more thoughts about these Her Story videos, I've included that in the extended version that's available in the memberships portal. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you'll choose to come back for a lot more episodes. Please let me know what you would like to see on the channel next. And until then, don't forget to check out these other episodes that I've linked that feature more Miss Universe Philippines 2024 challenges. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you'll be back very soon.